On a bitterly cold January night in 2022, Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found lifeless in the snow outside of 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts. His body was discovered the following morning, bruised, battered, and partially covered in snow. According to prosecutors, his girlfriend, Karen Read, dropped him off at a house party attended by fellow law enforcement officers. They allege that after a night of drinking, an argument erupted and Read struck O'Keefe with her SUV, leaving him to die in the freezing conditions. Charged with second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter while under the influence, and leaving the scene of an accident, Karen Read has maintained her innocence. Her defense argues she's being framed, pointing to a cover-up within law enforcement and inconsistencies in the timeline and the handling of evidence. The case has gripped the public, fueled by viral social media debates and strong opinions. As Karen Read faces a second trial, the quest for justice for John O'Keefe grows even more contentious and more complicated. And tonight we are live from the courthouse as the defense continues to present their case, trying to raise reasonable doubt as the retrial of the century continues. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And here we go, folks. We are in the midst of the defense case in the Karen Read trial. And there are a lot of things happening. Not your typical defense, not a defense that is coming up and putting witnesses that don't have any relevance to what they are trying to demonstrate to the jury. I've seen that plenty of times through the years at Court TV and plenty of times when I was a prosecutor many moons ago. They are trying to prove a point. They're trying to prove several points. And today was another big day inside the courtroom, although a little bit of a shortened day. So here's the one thing that makes this trial, there's a lot of things that make this trial different, but I think across the board, everyone that's inside that courtroom, everyone that is following this case, all agree on one fact. This was a tragic loss. John O'Keefe, Boston police officer, but more importantly, a man who was raising his sister's orphaned children. A man who took on that burden. A man of character. A man who, when he decided what career do I want, a career where I'll put my life on the line for people I don't even know. That's what police officers do when they sign up. That's what he did. And then to further demonstrate, you know, what he was made of, John O'Keefe, when his sister passed away and her husband passed away within 7 months of each other, he took in their children and raised them for years and did everything that a parent does. I mean, absolutely everything. And did it as a single parent who, by the way, is also working as a Boston police officer. Not easy. Not easy at all. Now, what should have been easy was this case. If you believe the prosecution here, this should have been an easy case. Usually when a motor vehicle strikes a pedestrian, it's not a complicated case, especially if you've identified the vehicle. You know, sometimes there's a hit and run and you're trying to track down the car. I've covered cold cases like that. That's not the case here. They know who they believe did it. So this should have been an easy case, not just because of the nature of the case and the nature of what you need to prove the case, but where it happened. Right there in front of 34 Fairview on a night when they were having a party inside the home with people coming and going, looking out the windows, other people driving to pick people up. There were so many potential witnesses to what happened that night, but no one saw anything. No one inside that house, no one who left the house, no one who showed up to the house to pick someone up. No one saw, and when I say see anything, saw Karen Read put the car in reverse, saw Karen Read strike John O'Keefe, or saw John O'Keefe's body on the front yard. And that has taken this case from an easy case to a much more difficult case. And add to the list of people who didn't see anything, or at least didn't see John O'Keefe, the snowplow driver who wasn't at the party, but was going up and down the street several times during the course of that night, right past 34 Fairview. So the question now, with this issue very front and center in front of this jury, is this reasonable doubt in and of itself? Does this negate the plausibility, or does it raise a doubt about the plausibility of Karen Read struck John O'Keefe? Maybe for one juror, maybe for more jurors, or maybe they need some more evidence. But this is a big, big issue and a big problem for this case, for this prosecution. Let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, joining us live from outside the courthouse in Dedham on a, I would call it a big Wednesday, but it wasn't a long Wednesday. It's an important Wednesday, but things ended a little bit early. So let's start with the snowplow driver. This is really a significant witness because it's someone not connected to anyone in the case.
Yeah, a shorter day, but a very big day here at the courthouse here behind me. So we have Lucky the Plow Driver, that's his nickname, Brian Loughran. He was a big witness last year, again this year, because he testifies that he was en route that year in 2022 during the big snowstorm, and he passed Fairview Avenue, 34 Fairview to be exact. He doesn't notice anything by the flagpole at 3 a.m. Then at around 3:30, his second swipe near the property, he notices there's a vehicle parked out front. Let's listen.
How much of the front lawn of 34 Fairview could you see?
I could see all the way to the front door.
When you are plowing, sir, where is your attention focused?
My attention's focused out the front window, to the right and to the left.
Why?
I am looking for pedestrians. I'm looking for residents that may be backing out, not aware that I'm there, and God forbid, animals.
Did you see a 6'1", 216-pound man lying on that lawn?
No. As I make my right onto Fairview, I notice that there's a vehicle on the right-hand side, roughly in the area of the flagpole in front of 34 Fairview.
Okay. And did you make note of what type of vehicle that was?
Yes.
What type of vehicle was that?
A Ford Edge.
What caused you to remember that there was a Ford Edge parked at 3:30 outside the Alberts residence that night?
For as long as I can remember, they have never parked a vehicle in front of their house. They've always had enough ample parking in the driveway.
So we'll have to see whether or not they're going to do the through line to who owned a Ford Edge. Some of the Albert family members reportedly did. But on cross-examination, he was also questioned as to if he had any pressure from the outside as to how he testified. Take a listen.
You're saying as you sit here today, you have no awareness in the history of this case that you were being threatened by an online blogger?
I was not threatened by an online blogger.
Was the person communicating and making clear to you that if you didn't testify in a certain way, there would be some consequence to you? Do you know if he is friendly or supports one side over the other?
I know he is friendly towards one side, yes.
Okay. The side sitting in the back of the room?
I would say to the fence team.
Another awkward moment in the courthouse here behind me because Aiden Carney wasn't used by name by the prosecution, but he was pointed out in the back row of the media section. Outside the courthouse, he answered a few questions. Take a listen.
I posted on my Twitter account at Dr. Turtleboy. I posted a screenshot of our conversation. I messaged him. I had found out that he was a plow driver that had reportedly not seen a body that morning, and I was wondering why the police hadn't spoke with him. So I messaged Lucky. I introduced myself, and he said he didn't want to talk. So
did you threaten him?
Absolutely not.
Say you revealed things about him?
Absolutely not. I posted the entirety of our messages with receipts on my Twitter account. The world can see it. So it's completely baseless. There was no threats. I just wanted I think the bigger question is, why did a blogger, as Hank Brennan calls me, why did I get to speak with the plow driver before Michael Proctor did? Why was I more interested in what the eyewitness had to say than the state police detectives in charge with investigating John O'Keefe's murder? I think that's the bigger question.
And remember, Vinnie, Kearney was originally on the witness list, and there was a lot of arguments outside the presence of the jury even before the trial began as to whether or not some of his text messages with defendant Karen Read would be admissible in court to show consciousness of guilt. Ultimately, he lawyered up. He has another case that's pending, and he said that he would plead the fifth, or at least his attorney said, if he was ever called to the stand.
Was there any reason why they didn't use his name?
Not that I could tell. I don't have a golden ticket for court this week, but I was watching, and there was a lot of shock by the other media members that that he was mentioned.
Yeah, it's baffling. Again, another situation where the jury gets a piece of the story, but they're purposely withholding information from the jury. I never understand that. Okay, let's talk about the Waterfall Bar and Grill. A witness from the Waterfall Bar and Grill who was there that night when John and Karen were there testified today. What'd she talk about?
Yeah, Karina Kalakithis, and she was a longtime friend of Officer John O'Keefe. They had children that were in sports together, and she knew Karen Read for about a year. She was actually very excited to see them both at the Waterfall Bar and Grill because she didn't want to go out that night. She was just keeping her husband company. Well, she described interaction between John and Karen, and she described it as loving, a loving couple. Take a listen.
So John went over to Karen and he gave her a kiss on the forehead.
Okay, and that kiss on the forehead, why did that stand out to you?
So honestly, I'd never seen something like that before, a boyfriend do to a girlfriend in public. Never saw that. So it just stood out to me. I was like, wow, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
She also described the video that has been seen many, many times, video of the group there at the Waterfall Bar and Grill. Let's make it full because it's hard to see. Let's put it there on your screen. She was describing this, her opinion about Chris Albert grabbing Higgins' arm and Higgins appearing to gesture towards John O'Keefe. That's according to the defense. And this moment about Jen McCabe and when everyone was leaving. Let's take a listen.
When you were leaving the establishment, whom did you leave with?
So again, it was myself, Jennifer McCabe, and Karen.
Did anything unusual occur when you were leaving?
So as we were leaving, Jen went over to Karen, kind of put her arm around her, and she started saying, "You're coming with me, you're coming with me."
Very interesting testimony that they're really invoking Jen McCabe's name yet again, but it really goes to how they're doubling down on the conspiracy theory and how it all started to get John O'Keefe to 34 Fairview.
Yeah, get him inside the house. Any reaction today after court?
Yeah, Karen Read was speaking outside the courthouse. Today was another good day to ask her how the case is going, but also since there was that testimony from that acquaintance about the relationship, I wanted to ask her yet again about her relationship with Officer John O'Keefe. Take a listen. The relationship with John, what more can you share? The witness was talking about.
I think the video speaks for itself. Happy, loving, affectionate, no tension.
Do you think John and Brian Higgins were at odds? We see this angle of them. Look,
your feeling about the trial so far with the defense case?
I feel strong, Matt. Feel good. Thank you.
Okay, so that's after a half day, which was today, day 4 in the defense case in chief. Remember, the defense says that they're going to be spending about a week and a half to 2 weeks to present their case. Tomorrow is dark. That was a surprise to everyone because of the inclement weather coming in. The judge didn't want the jury to sit through a hot courtroom or to have those fans blaring to where they can't hear testimony very clearly. So Friday, we pick up testimony for the defense case, and that should be a full day, Vinnie.
Okay, but I was in a trial there back in, around the turn of the century, and it was over 90 degrees in that courtroom, and we didn't take any days off.
I know.
I know. All right. Enjoy it, Matt. Thanks so much. Great reporting as always. Let's bring in our think tank live in studio tonight. Civil rights attorney and trial attorney Erica Wilson, criminal defense attorney and law professor Meg Strickler, and criminal defense attorney, the man behind the glasses, Josh Schiffer.
It's
great
so
to
hot.
Is it too hot in here?
Yeah, we need to
it's
leave.
so warm.
Well, I keep the studio a little warm because I like it warm. So if you ever get too hot, it's my fault.
You love it.
You know, I've had judges, I've had the AC go out in DeKalb County here in Atlanta. And they made us continue in court and keep our jackets on. It was awful.
I swear there's some judges that mess with the AC to put pressure on either defendants, plaintiffs, prosecutors. It's part of the law.
In that tiny courtroom, because they have so many people, 70 people in a tiny courtroom, when they put that fan on, you can't hear. I was in there when the fan was on. Like, nobody can hear each other. So they have to turn it off. It's a historical courthouse, which means they don't have the traditional air conditioning like we do. So.
And it was requested that they do it in this small
tiny
courtroom.
Yeah, the other one doesn't have air conditioning either, but it's a much larger room. So you have a better opportunity.
Some of these older buildings, though, because here in Georgia, we have some old, beautiful courthouses that we lovely get to practice in, and there's an AC all the time in there, but the buildings are made with marble and all these wonderful things that keep the buildings cool.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a cold night. Back in 2020, it was snowy, and Lucky is plowing the streets, goes by at 2:40, 3 o'clock, sees nothing on 34 Fairview, and says he's looking out. Goes by at 3:30 and sees a Ford Edge there. Let's talk first about seeing nothing. Could that be a reasonable doubt by itself?
Absolutely not. Why does it matter? He didn't see anything. That doesn't prove anything.
He didn't see the body on the front yard.
But does that mean it wasn't there?
I don't know. No one saw it.
There was no visibility. It was a blizzard. He could have been covered. The fact that he might have omitted and didn't see it didn't mean the body wasn't there.
Well, the timing of the blizzard, because I am a part-time meteorologist, they had about 3/8 of an inch of snow. The real snow came after police responded in the morning.
Oh, they were doing something because he's plowing. So I don't know if you're correct on that. It was a blizzard for real.
The meteorologist for the prosecution told us how much snow there was.
Yeah, and everybody from the prosecution is always to be trusted.
I'm roughly 6'2", 217, and there's absolutely no way that if I'm lying in a front yard,
6'2".
Close enough. It's government work. Come on. So there's absolutely no way that anybody within, say, 20% of my body size lying on the ground under 3/8 of the inch of snow is missed by a plow driver who pays very close attention to what's going on in the front of that truck.
And well, his testimony, Erica, was that he could see all the way to the front door. Why would Lucky lie?
Well, Lucky...
Or is he misremembering? Or did he not look?
I think he's having some issues with misremembering. I think he's a townie, so there's some concerns with that and whether he's credible in his testimony. But I do think he's misremembering a lot of things conveniently at this point.
Is it a problem that investigators really didn't reach out to him?
Well, that's funny, because remember, the prosecution is the one who put the case on. This is the defense. And they're trying to punch holes in things.
But investigators never even talked to him.
Because they didn't think he was, I'm
to try
arguing,
to prove the case.
They didn't think he was a credible witness, had anything to say. That's my thought.
But they never interviewed him.
And that's because they were busy doing, in defense of the state, they were busy doing the rest of what they thought was a thorough investigation. And the defense very aptly said, hey, there might be a plow driver. Let's go figure it out. That's how he comes up in this process. I'm certain that as the investigation went on through the police, they probably would have gotten to him. But making such a big deal about who got to him first, he wasn't an eyewitness to any violence. He is a circumstantial
evidence.
Was. No one was.
Nobody was a witness to violence here. That's part of the problem, isn't it?
Correct. But remember,
no one saw anything.
When he testified today, he testified at 2:30, 2:45, 3 o'clock. When he drove by and then did the second time around, he saw nothing. And that's the key point of what the defense is trying to convey. They have to build it up with the other witnesses.
Yeah.
And that's their plot here.
But it's not just seeing nothing. It's at 3:30 in the morning seeing a Ford Edge parked in the street.
That wasn't there the first time.
Was it an Edge or was it a Focus?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Because he doesn't know either. They're conflating it.
Right.
They don't know if it was
But
an Edge
there's a
or
car
Focus.
parked right where the body was found.
Well, I thought it was odd
Is
how
that
he
strange?
said, how he said that Alberts never have anybody parked outside on the street.
They have a big driveway.
And they have a big driveway. That's a I know he was born and bred there, knows these folks, and was good friends with Chris, and blah blah blah. I heard all about that, but it just seems like a
too much information.
Yes,
too much of a detail.
Yes,
it's too much of a detail for me.
Makes you suspicious that he, who passes thousands of homes.
Will the jury be suspicious of Lucky Loughran?
You never know who the jury is suspicious of, but here's the important part.
Whose car was it?
We don't know.
Doesn't matter. Here's what matters.
That's right where the body was found.
Wasn't part of the state's case. And now there's more information piled up higher and deeper about questions what did happen. Because now you got a new guy, Lucky. He's great. He's the Mr. Plow of this trial. And he basically said, hey, here's more info that doesn't line up.
Yep, that's all they need to do is point reasonable doubt.
Reasonable doubt.
That's the plot of the defense.
Yep, but we're beyond reasonable doubt. They've made so many promises in their opening statement. They're putting so much stuff out there that now they got to prove it up. So now it's their case to prove.
The defense needs to prove it up?
Yes.
The burden
you can't just throw that. You can't just throw this stuff out there and not prove it.
No, I don't agree. I think it's reasonable doubt only. That's all they have to do. They got to punch holes in the defense, and that's it.
When we come back, did Turtleboy, Aiden Kearney, threaten Lucky? We're going to show you some things very interesting relative to that, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, a look at the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, hip-hop mogul and accused sex trafficker. Is the prosecution proving their case? We are live from the courthouse with our continuing investigation.
VPI Special Report.
The P. Diddy sex abuse scandal that has rocked Hollywood and the world of hip-hop.
The downfall of a music mogul.
Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years.
An all-new look at the evidence and the latest from inside the courtroom.
That was the moment when everything changed.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, a Diddy Special Report. Tonight, 9/8 Central on Court TV.
Was the online blogger threatening or saying that he would expose you and tell personal things about you if you weren't helpful?
He was not threatening.
Let's remove the word threatening. Was the person communicating and making clear to you that if you didn't testify in a certain way, there would be some consequence to you?
Objection. Can we have a time frame, please?
Any time from when you first spoke to the private investigator until today, were there communications made to you by an online blogger that there would be consequence for you if you didn't testify in a way that was acceptable to them?
No.
So the blogger that Hank Brennan is referencing is Turtleboy, Aiden Kearney, right? Big part of this story from almost the beginning. And he's not mentioned in court, but it seems that Hank Brennan is referencing an alleged threat that was made by Turtleboy against Lucky, trying to undermine the credibility of his testimony because trying to say, hey, he's testifying this way because of these threats. Well, a video of Turtleboy talking about Lucky a few years ago was posted on X by John Barron.
You should fear me, like not fear, not like physical fear, but like I said, the Alberts fear me much more than I fear them. Because I have the ability to severely change their lives. And that goes for you too, Stephen. And that goes for you too, Mr. Lucky. You need to contact me and do the right thing, and you're going to have a conversation with me, or Brian Albert finds out what you did.
Okay, now there was also an article posted on Turtleboy News. Take a look here. The headline, Canton Cover-Up, Part 47. Plow driver who went by 34 Fairview Road and never reported seeing body is Selectman's brother, friends with the Albert family. And then you'll also recall that Turtleboy, after court today, talked about contacting him and via text message. And there was a text message, and Turtleboy posted, he goes, "Hi, Brian, I have a question." He replies, okay. And did you plow Fairview Road on the morning of January 29th, 2022? I'm willing to keep your name out of this as I don't want you dragged into this. And then Lucky responds, I'm not answering any questions anymore. I'm sorry if that makes things difficult. So that's the back and forth. And there, Turtleboy saying no threats involved. But I think Hank Brennan was probably referencing the video. So let's take a look at some more of the cross-examination on this issue with Lucky in court today.
You knew that a person or persons were putting out private pictures of you online.
I did notice.
And those private pictures, you didn't give anybody permission or want that attention, did you?
I did not.
In fact, it wasn't just some private pictures, it was pictures taken from a number of different times in your life, correct?
Yes.
You never gave anybody permission to do that?
I did not.
You didn't want people talking about you or asking you questions? That was none of their business, did you?
I did not.
And it was embarrassing that you were being made this public spectacle when you had done nothing wrong, correct?
Ask it differently.
Was it embarrassing what they were doing to you?
I wouldn't say embarrassing, as more as aggravating.
Did you learn that information was coming out about your brother?
I knew my brother was dealing with other issues regarding this case.
And certainly, you're close with your brother.
Yes.
You care for your brother.
Yes.
You did not want to upset anybody and have more attention brought onto your brother, did you?
I did not.
And there was an attempt to link your brother to one of the Alberts, in fact, correct?
Yes.
After you testified, things got better?
I wouldn't say better. It's gotten a little more easily manageable.
You were no longer being harassed, you were being embraced.
Correct.
And that's you, Mr. Loughran?
Yes.
You can take that down, please. Thank you for your time.
Okay, so what's the result of this in front of the jury? Now, the jury doesn't see the video like we showed you, but what exactly is going on here? Back with us, our think tank, civil rights and trial attorney Erica Wilson, criminal defense attorney, law professor Meg Strickler, and Josh Schiffer. Let's start first with what is the impact on the jury?
More mess, more confusion, more allegations that this guy that we just listened to might have some reasons to not be telling us the truth, but he's very clear and he's enunciating it very clearly. Makes me almost go, well, those words are put in his mouth, while at the same time going, no, that's exactly a guy who really wants to be heard speaks.
Which is more intimidating, right? Because it can go either way, like lying about what you didn't see and potentially implicating law enforcement, or not saying what a local blogger wants you to say.
I think the truth would be the best idea. You just gave me A or B. I want C, which is just say what happened.
No. But I'm saying because the prosecution is saying he's being intimidated by this guy on YouTube.
Right, which is
right?
silly. It's silly.
He's being intimidated and forced to lie on the witness stand by a guy on YouTube to potentially implicate members of law enforcement.
It doesn't make sense.
Does that make sense?
It does not make sense.
Who's in the room with them?
Right.
Like, literally, he's there.
This has zero impact on the jury. I think the operative word that he used was aggravating. I think the jurors are probably aggravated at this point with him, because what value
with Lucky?
With the defense, this whole thing. Why is he even there? Like, what value is he bringing to the defense at this point?
He's another person who didn't see the body.
He brings
saw a Ford Edge.
Exactly. He brings huge value to the defense because it's yet another inconsistent version of what may or may not have happened on that night. What I found troubling was when Brennan's going against him so much, I worry, did he go too far? Did he not go too far enough? Did it hurt the Commonwealth's case by picking on a guy who clearly didn't want to be involved?
The implication
is
by the defense on this cross-examination is that you're lying right now. You're making this up because you were pressured by a guy on YouTube.
Well, that's the problem with the Commonwealth right now, because this is a really weird defense and it's a really weird case. I mean, we know this, right? But when you cross anybody, we defense lawyers are experts at doing that. Prosecutors are not. And you see that a little bit here. His skill level is not as good.
But Hank's a defense attorney.
No, but I'm saying the prosecutor usually is never the guy who cross-examines. Okay.
But this one does all the time, because he's a defense attorney just getting paid a couple $100,000 to do this case.
But he's looking like a prosecutor who doesn't
You
cross.
think? Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
He's back definitely playing the prosecutor role from the prosecutor perspective and how he approaches the witness as, I've got a state's case to carry, and the problem that I think Meg's really talking about, that we've talked about a number of times, The state's spending all this time getting in front of what they expect the defense to argue, that they're missing the fact they're required to carry their burden clearly.
By fighting so hard to make him look like a liar, does it almost bolster and make his testimony more important?
Bingo.
Yes.
Should he just left it alone and said, well, Lucky's snow plowing, folks. He didn't see anything.
I would have left it. He's by definition who he is, and just leave it.
Right.
I mean, I'm the person who likes to do crosses and very specific, just a few things and sit down. To each his own, lawyer-wise, but in this context, just do a few and walk away. Let him be a non-player.
I don't feel like Lucky's a liar.
Lucky is lucky. Lucky is lucky.
Lucky to me adds no value. I'm the only one here. Y'all are pro-defense, and I get that. And maybe I'm too much on the state side, but I do feel like the state should have just left it alone. Because to me, I'm just like, I don't even know why he's here.
I think we agree across the board on that. He would have been one of those witnesses.
I would have just been like, just let them do whatever they want to do with him, because I don't see a point.
We definitely agree
and
across
this is
the
a
board on that.
pattern now, though. This is a pattern because you had Officer Devers earlier in the week who changed her story,
I know.
was very adversarial on the stand. All of a sudden, her testimony is more important. Lucky's testimony is more important. Whereas if they had just let it be.
It's focusing a spotlight on a witness that should have been, no, man, this is nothing.
Right.
They should have gotten up and down and said, Lucky, you plow thousands of streets a year.
Right.
You remember this one super well, right? You got any others you remember like this?
Yeah.
And
Walk
sit
away.
down. Doesn't matter what the answer is.
Lucky
Walk
was
away.
snowing that day. Yes, it was. Could you see? Okay.
Bada boom.
It's Massachusetts. It snows all the time.
All the time. This guy's been plowing for 30 years. Tuesday.
All right.
What were you doing?
When we come back, we're going to take a trip. What happened at the Waterfall Bar and Grill?
John went over to Karen and he gave her a kiss on the forehead. I'm referring to that head right there.
Understood. Okay, and
then,
I think you had said something else?
And then that right there is John O'Keefe with the hat.
Okay, there's a ball cap.
Correct.
And on the video, as we're looking at it, it's to the right, up the top. It's to the right of the PM chyron there.
Right
up the
to the
top
right
of the screen.
Correct, sorry.
If we could continue to play. Stop. What do you see?
So I see John giving Karen a kiss on the forehead.
Interesting. Waterfall Bar and Grill. This is a friend of Karen and John's who went to go meet her husband, who's having a sandwich there that night, and went to the Waterfall Bar and Grill and spent a lot of time with Karen Read. Take a listen.
If you can, ma'am, would you please use that pointer to show where you are first?
That's me.
Okay. And Brian Higgins?
That's him.
All right. Do you recognize, at this point in the video, do you recognize anybody else?
Not right now.
Okay. If we could start to play it, Mr. Wood. And stop for a second. I would ask you, as soon as you recognize somebody else, if you'd speak up and tell us to stop, and we'll pause.
Okay. So right there is Karen's head.
Okay. Is that the back of Karen's head, or?
Correct. So that's the back of her head.
All right. And you're, by the way, just so the record's clear, over Mr. Higgins' shoulder, there appears to be a face looking forward on the right shoulder. You see that, right?
Correct.
You're not referring to that. You're referring to the long hair that's in back of that face.
Yes. Could I point to it again? Okay. So I'm referring to that head right there.
Understood. Okay. And then, I think you had said something else.
And then that right there is John O'Keefe with the hat.
Okay. There's a ball cap.
Correct.
And on the video, as we're looking at it, it's to the right, up the top. It's to the right of the PM chyron there.
Right
up the
to the
top
right
of the screen.
Correct. Sorry.
If we could continue to play. Stop. What do you see?
So I see John giving Karen a kiss on the forehead.
Is that what you saw that night?
I did. I was looking right at them when it happened.
You were facing them?
I was facing them.
And what about Mr. Higgins? Where was he facing?
It appears that he's facing them as well.
That happened right in front of him.
That's what it looks like.
If we could play further. Okay, you can stop and we can take that down.
Is this kiss just a kiss? Let me show you. You've got Karen Read, Brian Higgins, and then you've got John O'Keefe, who comes in with the ball cap. There you see him. Kiss on the forehead right in front of Brian Higgins, the man who was texting Karen that night. They had exchanged a kiss at John O'Keefe's house that John did not know about. Well, is this kiss just a kiss?
I mean, I think it's good evidence if they left it at that, but I didn't like how she said that she's never seen people be affectionate like that. I thought that was a really odd thing to say.
She said she's never seen a forehead kiss.
Yeah, true. But that's bizarre at best. And that ruined a little bit of what she was talking about there.
Really?
Yes, for me.
Yeah, I disagree. I think the emphasis on the forehead kiss, that's different from like a peck on the cheek. The forehead kiss is like, and it is sweet, it's very endearing. You don't really see it a lot.
But you do see it, come on.
It was an intentional, that was a show kiss, I think.
To be right in front of Brian Higgins, exactly.
And that's
in front of Brian Higgins?
Yes. Brian Higgins. Listen, if that's my significant other, it's a kiss on the mouth, it's a pick goodbye. You're going to grab somebody.
Slow down, Josh.
You're going to grab somebody by the head and give him the old mwah. Like, that's to show Brian Higgins, look.
Who I own, so to speak.
Listen, according to most of the reality shows my girlfriend makes me watch, that can cause people to be super triggered. And, you know, you do that in front of the wrong person.
So is this the triggering event of the night, according to the defense?
I think it is.
Could be.
Absolutely within the realm of possibility.
It's a good testimony. It shows what could be, and then the jury can go back and contemplate it. Just leave it sit there, and then do it in a closing.
But wait, there's more. Now, as they're leaving, take a look. We've put together like a Court TV edit of the video. On the left is Higgins and Albert and another Albert. On the right is John O'Keefe. And what you're seeing is the guys on the left motioning over to John O'Keefe, and you can see on the right his reaction to it all. It's coming up in just a moment. John O'Keefe, again, on the right-hand side, he'll have the ball cap on, and then the three guys over there pointing and gesturing, and the defense has made a big deal about this. So is this sort of the luring, the challenging? Is this the prelude to a fight? Is anyone reading it that way?
That's how I see it. You can see the posturing of it. It's almost, look at him now, it's very aggressive. It's almost kind of like you're challenging. It's like, come on, let's go, meet me outside. That's how I read that.
I don't see that, but I mean, you asked an opinion, so I don't see that, but I see the point of them conveying it. They're trying to, this is the evidence the defense is putting on, and so they're trying to convey that for the jury to take back and contemplate.
They're putting together a narrative here,
Correct.
Josh. Much more specific narrative than last time.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and that's because they really want to give the jury a hook to hang their hat on. And by mentioning, showing, pushing it right in their face, hey, here's an incident that could have easily and reasonably aroused the passions of others. We can't prove it, but it's certainly something to think about. Man, I drank in bars for years.
Why would the brawl not take place in the bar? Isn't that where you have brawls in bar rooms?
You respect the people that own the bar and you don't disgrace their house. You go out into the back for that.
I don't
someone
know if I
down the
agree with
street, or a party late.
No, but if there was anger already festering there, just having seen this kind of scene happen with either cases or in real life, whatever, the festeringness would be happening here, and it goes out, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and grows and grows and grows. We don't see evidence of that.
So how much can the defense extract from this? And obviously, they don't have to prove anything, but like Erica said earlier, they've sort of set a bar up for themselves where you need to give them a reasonable alternative explanation for what could have happened here if it wasn't the woman driving the car with the broken tail light who said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, or did I hit him, did I hit him, did I hit him?
That's the problem with putting on the defense with all of these witnesses. Eric is absolutely right. They have now put themselves up, and I know we're talking about burden shifting, and I don't agree with, they're having a burden, but yet I kind of agree they have a burden. Does that make sense? I mean, they really have set themselves up.
But their burden isn't beyond a reasonable doubt. It's just a reasonable doubt, which is like, it's like this band.
big. You got to give us something. You got to give us something from what you promised us.
But this witness was very helpful. She did a lot of things. She set the stage for why there would be animus, and she also kind of hinted at the fact that Karen may or may not really have been drinking a whole lot and probably wasn't as drunk as the state probably is putting her off to be. So I think she was very, very helpful, and she helped
blood alcohol
set the stage.
I agree 100% with what Erica's saying, because it also sets them up for a future defense witness to confirm, and people got aroused or aggravated at that. People's passions started ramping up.
All right,
there's a lot more discussion.
Let's just score what the defense has done here today. 0 to 10, 10 being wow, 0 being nothing.
That's a tough
Give me a
one.
number. Give me a number. We've got like 20.
I give it 6. Yeah,
6, 7, 8. You know, it definitely was pro-defense. Defense walked away with more confidence than they went in.
They scored a couple
Those
points.
are all rookie scores. I'm going to say 7-2.
There you go.
7.2. Hey, Josh Schiffer, Meg Strickler, Erica Wilson, thank you so much. Let's see, coming up. Oh, we've got something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, a deep dive into the evidence, testimony, and allegations from the Diddy sex trafficking trial. Reports from the courthouse as we ask the big questions surrounding this big trial. What do we really know about Diddy parties?
Get a new look at the evidence and the latest from inside the courtroom. Vinnie Politan Investigates, a Diddy special report, coming up next on Court TV.
Loughran Daybell, doomsday cult mom, convicted killer, and now defendant, and yet another high-profile trial. Will this be the final chapter in the saga
of the doomsday cult mom? The Cult Mom Conspiracy Trial, weekday mornings on Court TV.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of crime and justice, and it's a real headache. Lori Daybell back in court for yet another conspiracy trial, and creating a headache for the judge because of her headache. Take a listen to some of the back and forth from Monday.
Because you represent yourself, no one else can waive your own appearance.
You're welcome to come over to the jail and come to my cell and see how I'm doing in there.
All right, I'll take a pass on that.
Judge is not coming down to the jail to check on you, Lori. All right, take a listen to the judge and Lori Daybell today after he compelled her to come to court for the continuation of this trial.
I received a pleading late yesterday afternoon indicating that Correctional Health Services examined the defendant around 12:30 p.m. yesterday. The defendant was treated for one condition, and Correctional Health Services has indicated that from a medical standpoint, we do not find any clinical indications to miss court.
Your Honor, first of all, can all of this be sealed? Anything that having to do with my medical? I don't think that's something that all of this needs to be sealed, including the minute entry and
Hold on.
the response from MCSO, all these things.
I can seal the response from MCSO, yeah, but to the extent, well, do you have any other information you want to provide me as to why you're not medically able to proceed? Right now, the only objective information I have is that you were assessed and CHS sees no clinical indications of why you need to miss court.
They told me
If it's
that
something you want to discuss on sidebar, we can do that.
that would be great.
All right. Intends on proceeding with jury selection today. Depending on how things go, I don't know that I would make the parties do their opening statements or not, but that remains to be seen today. The court finds that the court has not been provided any objective medical information of why the defendant can't proceed today. Although the defendant expressed that she has a headache and is not able to proceed, she was able to fully advocate on her own behalf and articulate to me the reasons why she doesn't think she can proceed and seems to be of sound mind and ability to proceed.
Opening statements tomorrow. Full report on this program tomorrow night. Right now, take a look at your television screens. We have a missing child. This is Drake Alexander Pegler, just 16 years old, missing out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Could be in the local area, may be in Denver. If you see him, pick up the phone, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Colorado Springs Police in Colorado. Let's get him to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. A big update on the Diddy trial. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.